Welcome to another episode of the Breaking Into Tech Sales podcast. Today's episode is with an SDR leader who's had thousands of interviews under his belt. He shares the top 3 traits that he looks for in SDRs that you need to have if you're going to get hired for one of these roles. They are grit, coachability, and positivity. We talk about yellow and red flags when it comes to talking about those traits in an interview. And we also get into the one tip that he has that could change everything about your job search. If you need help breaking into tech sales, you've got one of 2 options. There's 2 links below. One is to a calendar link to meet with my team to figure out if you're a fit to work with me one-on-one. I help people like you get amazing tech sales jobs in just 34 days. So if you are trying to go make that happen, hit that link. You'll meet with my team. We'll see if we can help you out or not. If you're not quite ready to go all in like that and you have a little more time to spare, you want to figure it out on your own, the second link below is a link to my free Breaking Into Tech Sales guide. It is going to break down step by step how to do some of the things that Dylan and I talk about in this podcast, including doing the job to get the job. What does that mean? How do you actually do it? How do you call these managers? Where do you find their numbers? All of that. That info is found in the free guide below. All you have to do is click on that link, sign up for free, and I'll even DM you once you're over there to make sure you're set up for success. Hope you guys enjoy the episode. Thank you all for tuning in to another episode of the Breaking Into Tech Sales podcast. We've got Dylan in the house. This man is an SDR expert. How long have you been an SDR leader, Dylan?
I've been in SDR land for probably 8 years now. Among like a few other instances where I was leading AEs as well, but like I just love the grind of the SDR. So I mean, how long have I been a leader? Probably 5 to 6 years.
Let's
A year
go.
and a half, 2 years into my SDR career.
Okay, ballpark. How many interviews do you think you've run for SDRs?
It's a great question, given that I've scaled. I don't know what. I mean, even when I was an SDR and I was growing, I was running interviews back then. So I mean, I would say it's got to be thousands. I mean, thousand something. I don't know.
That's
Um, and,
amazing. All
and that,
right, cool.
what's crazy about that, Jack, is that's not even including the ones I did myself as an SDR.
Right,
So
right. Oh,
it's
so we'll put
definitely in
the
the
count at,
thousands.
like over, yeah, thousands, which is huge. So y'all are going to get a ton of value out of this. Dylan's going to kind of peel the curtain back of what his mindset is going into interviews, interviewing someone like you, an SDR candidate. So yeah, Dylan, what are kind of the top 3 questions you like to ask in interviews? Or if you want to maybe hit the mindset first, like what are you looking for when you're talking to these SDR candidates?
Yeah, so I like what you said there, the mindset piece. There's a few specific characteristics that I look for. One is grit.
Mm,
Grit, I know it's like probably a common word out there, but like grit is a very hard thing to find. But if you can show me that you have it, it's primo. I would say 2 is of course coachability, right? If you are brand new to a role like this, you need to be open to essentially following a process that your leader will build for you, right? And it
yeah.
needs to be, you need to be able to just come in, do it for 6 months, and then have the opportunity to kind of make it your own after that, right? But at the start, I need you to just straight up focus on doing what you're supposed to do. And then
Mhm.
3, I think a really big piece of the puzzle is positivity. There's an immense amount of negativity in the world. You're going to get told no thousands and thousands and thousands of times. If you're able to stay positive, keep a level head, and just continuously move forward, then you're going to be extremely successful in this role.
So good. So good. Okay, let's start with grit. And I agree. That is the number one characteristic, right? So a lot of the people I work with one on one, these are door to door people. These are real estate. These are insurance. So they have grit. But what do you mean when you say grit? Like how does someone demonstrate they have grit?
Yeah, so I think that's a really good question. It's a very hard thing to do, and it's also a very hard thing to do to find in one interview with someone. You know,
Mm,
um, so it's almost about getting to know the person and understanding them a little bit more. And I know a typical interview that most of you guys and gals are going to have is only 30 minutes, and it's tough to show your true characteristics as a whole and all of them, everything you want to come across in a 30-minute interview. But that's why you need to prioritize these couple. So like how do you show that on an interview? Dive into your experience in the right ways. Um, if you think about what you did in a previous role, that you were a real hustler, you were a real driver, and you weren't a quitter, show that, explain that, tell that story. That backstory is really going to help that grit come through. And not only that, um, grit actually shows a little bit of curiosity as well. You know, I think one of the guys I hired recently, in the interview with him, he was like, he was almost bored in his role, because he didn't, he like didn't have enough to do. I was like, don't worry, you're gonna have plenty to do here. He was like, yes, I'm so excited. I cannot wait to get on the phones. He was like, I love it. So like, I think showing that you have that umph, umph is a fun word for me. Showing that you have that, in that interview is really gonna drive it home for me.
That's good. Yeah, I think one thing you're saying there is share a story. And that's something for y'all to be aware of out there listening. You can't just say you have grit and give some fluffy answer about like, yeah, grit's super important in sales because you gotta, be resilient. It's like, I want to hear a real example of where you had grit. Be specific with me, right? Because anyone can come in here and tell me the right words. But if you can give me a real story of how you've been gritty in your life, that's gonna bring it to life way more.
Yep, spot on.
One of the things I coach my reps to do, I say reps, my clients, I treat them like my reps.
Mhm.
I'm their SDR manager. We're gonna go book meetings, aka interviews. Is I actually teach them to share a little bit on the personal side as well. Because something I see people do, they'll come into an interview and they'll just talk professional about their professional resume. But some of the best grit you can get out of someone is their real life, like their childhood. How did
Yep,
they grow up? What did they encounter? So I have my clients go through. We have a framework where they share about their childhood growing up and if it was hard or if it was, easy. And based on that, that informs their life why. Like why they want to be successful. Maybe it's because they don't want their kids to grow up the way they did, or they want to continue the blessing that their parents have given them by being providers and stuff. And I think that goes a layer deeper rather than here's my resume and work experience. It's like here's me as a human being, some of the hardships, some of the struggles, the growth. To me, that screams grit. I mean, do you recommend going personal or do you like keeping it professional?
I think it was a balance, right? I think, something I did through my interviews as when I was trying to be an SDR was I did tell that personal story, because I grew up on a farm in West Virginia, middle of nowhere, came from nothing out of something, and it's, I want to say it's important to have a balance and not tell them your whole life story. But when they tell you to dive into your background, it's okay to start with, I grew up here and I have an accent for that reason. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and you use it like I can use my accent when it comes out, but like, um, I think it's okay to show who you are to the person, not only show who you are, then dive into the professional piece of the puzzle. So like,
Yeah.
if you're, I mean, me for example, I have 10 years restaurant experience. I was closing down restaurants at 4 a.m. I was literally closing a kitchen. I've served tables for 7 years, right? I've done all that, and I've done insurance sales. I've done all those things. I brought those stories to the table because it showed the leadership when they wanted to hire me that I was a grinder. I didn't mind getting out there and hustling. I actually liked it. So what was important for me to come across there was that I was that hustler. I was the person actually trying to get out there and do it. And to be an SDR, you have to be that person. So if
Yeah.
this job is for you, if you're out there hunting and looking for this, show that you're hunting and looking for this. Listen to Jack. The best way for you to get that next role is by being an SDR. If you
Mhm.
call me 3 times over the next week, if I'm hiring, when I'm hiring, and you're likely one of 2 or 3 people that have called me, and I'm going to prioritize that, right? And I'm going to see your LinkedIn message. I'm going to see your email. I'm going to see all these follow-ups that you gave me. It's going to make me want to answer you.
Yeah.
If you don't do that, you're going to get lost in the funnel.
Yep. Yep. Agree. Got to do the job to get the job. And
Yep.
I might get flamed by all the HR professionals out there for saying this, but I'm just being blunt, like me interviewing SDRs, it's always been an emotional purchase first. Like I've had to connect with the SDR emotionally and see that they're a real human with real conviction, with real grit, with real passion. And then the rest of the interview is me justifying my purchase logically by, okay, they have this experience, they can do this, they're good communicators. So for me, what I teach my clients is to be very forward with, hey, this is who I am as a human being. I grind, I work hard, hear my life stories. But as a manager, I mean, do you agree? Do you disagree? Like, is it an emotional purchase first?
Yeah, I mean, so like I agree that you do want to be assertive in a sense. I think assertive
Mhm.
is a key piece of the puzzle. I think it's, but you don't want to be too assertive as well. I think
Yeah.
it's definitely emotional. So when I hire SDRs, I take the first interview outside of it going through like HR first and going through the recruiting team. Comes to me. Um, if you're reaching out to me, I have the ability to say, come talk to me, like let's skip the HR part, right? Or the recruiting part. Um,
Yeah.
outside of that, I think the first interview is very personal with me. Like I want to understand who you are. I have three VPs that you're going to interview with afterwards. You can They can cover the very heavy technical details that I probably
Mhm.
forget or I'm still learning on how to interview about. I'm still learning, right? We're all leaders, but we're all still learning. We're all people. So like the way I tend to balance the conversation is very back and forth. I don't want to be grilling you. I want you to tell me about a time you went with your gut, right? Or I want you to tell me about how one of your colleagues might describe you in a couple of words, or like what actually motivates you as a person. Once I can really understand who you are, then I'm gonna be like, okay, so I saw you worked at Olive Garden, right? Like, what were you doing in Olive Garden, and what was your favorite part, and what was not? So like, I think it's a balance of really understanding who you are, just like you said, from a personal level, and then moving
Mm.
to that professional piece of the puzzle.
Cool. Coachability, huge. I've had issues with people who come into SDR interviews and they have all this experience and they come in with almost an ego of like, oh, I know what I'm doing. And to your point, you have to be willing to submit to my process as the leader because I'm a professional at my job. I have systems, I have everything you need to do mapped out. I want your creativity. I want you to add on to stuff and build on stuff, but you have to be willing to submit to my process for a season. How do you index for that specifically?
Another good question, Jack. I think understanding what you've done, and it doesn't have to be in previous roles, it can just be in previous life, previous style, whatever you were doing in the past. Um, but I think it's just really understanding, and like sports isn't like a must have, but it's definitely a positivity if you played sports at some point in your life, which,
Mhm.
let's be honest, most of us as kids did some type of sport in some fashion, even if you were 7 years old. Um, I think you don't have to tell the story of a sporting event situation, but something in the past where you had an experience with a manager or leader as to where you were able to listen. And I take listen as like a number one thing. When you're a BDR and you're on a cold call, we listened to one of my reps' cold calls the other day, and the rep, as soon as the prospect started talking, you mute yourself. That tells me that you're coachable in a sense because you're not in a rush to get out and say something. You actually want to listen and understand their problems, and you want to hear what the prospect says, um, which means you're able to learn, okay, that you want to learn. So I think what's really key in coachability is demonstrating that you're able to learn, implement, and after implementing, understand what you did right and what you did wrong, and then fix it as well. So coachability comes through
Yeah.
the process of really like diving through that whole process of you're teaching me something, I'm gonna do it, and then I can make it my own afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the ways that I have filtered through that in interviews is we'll do like a mock call or something. And sometimes it's a red flag to me when they have no questions before diving into the mock call. So sometimes not. Like once in a while, I'll have someone who, they're great communicators. They've done the research. So by the time we get to the mock call portion, they actually don't like I know they don't have questions because they did the research. But there's other people I can tell where it's like, you seriously have no questions of me? I'm going to be your coach. This is the first time you've ever done a mock call for this company. You just researched us maybe 2 hours ago. Like, no questions, really? That's kind of a red flag to me. So if you're listening and you get put in those mock call situations, you should ask questions. Be like, hey, so the opener I was going to go in was this. Like, how do you guys suggest, we go through openers? Do you like permission based? Do you like non permission based? Do you want me to push through and book the meeting no matter what? Or do you guys like to ease off and let them go? Questions like that just show me you're humble and you're coachable. What say you, Dylan?
Yeah, I would say definitely ask the mock person questions, but not only ask them questions in the actual call. Um,
Correct.
my like
Yes.
my like key the key success to your role as an SDR, at least one of them, right? But this is definitely a main point. I
Mhm.
call them killer questions. Um, what killer questions do is they need to be very driven toward the persona, toward the actual person's role, toward your research, toward all the above about that person, and they need to be very tailored. Not only need to be tailored, they need to make your prospect stop thinking about getting off the phone with you. If you
Mm.
can get the prospect to stop and think about how to answer your question, you're in. So I think what's super important is definitely asking the questions on how you want the interview process to go and how you want the things to happen and how you want the cold call to work and how those things. But I think what's really, really key from a question standpoint is asking the questions to the prospect.
Mm.
That's how you're going to book meetings. And not only is that how you're going to book meetings, it's going to make you a good AE. It's going to teach you how to do discovery. It's going to teach you how to
Yeah.
be a really good salesperson, whether it be in SaaS sales or whether it be in your life. Um,
Mhm.
Asking those questions is primary.
Yeah, so an example of this that's tangible is often in mock call scenarios, it's like an inbound call situation. Like, hey, the CEO of whatever HubSpot is interested. They filled out a contact us form. You're going to jump on a mock call with them. And what a bad SDR will do, so don't do this, is you'll look up some like call script online, and the call script will basically be cool. Thanks for reaching out. What has you interested? Awesome. Let me get you set up with an AE.
Yeah,
And it's like, don't, no, 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 don't do that. Like you need to ask questions, like Dylan is saying. So ask about like, oh, cool, you're interested. Like, what are you guys currently doing for this software need? How long have you guys been with that company? Oh, that's cool. Like, what got you to sign up with that company in the first place? Oh, have they actually delivered on those metrics you initially signed up to fix?
yeah,
Right. And what about like, is there anyone else from your team that needs to be added to this conversation? Like, there's so many simple questions you can ask that show you're curious, because if you come in as the first rep, immediate DQ for me anyway, because you're not asking questions, you're not curious. But if
yeah,
you ask like 6 questions, you peel back the onion a bit, I know you're a naturally curious person, and that's a good thing.
yeah. And something I make very clear to my reps is there's no such thing as a dumb question. Every question is a great question. I want you to be asking me something all the time. In your first 3 months, every response you get, you better be sending it to me because we're gonna work on it together. And I'm gonna not be the answer monster. I'm gonna actually like ask you how you think you should respond and how you think you should go about it. So that way we can determine what is the right way to respond to the prospect. So yeah, the one thing I would stay away on that note from is like, what size is your revenue? Right? Like, how many team members do you
Yeah.
have? The reason I say it is you find all that crap online. It's like really
Yeah.
easy to just go use ZoomInfo or use Google. Big fan of Google. Just use Google, search all those things, and you can find them in the snap of a finger. So
Nailed
make
it.
sure,
Yeah.
yeah, make sure it's quality questions.
SDR cheat code you're throwing in there is, if you want to be an impressive SDR, when you reach out to your manager, tell them proactively, hey, here's what I think I'm going to do. Can I get your feedback on it?
Yep.
Because a good manager will do what Dylan just did, and that's just ask you, what do you think you should do? So beat them to the punch, and they're going to be like, this rep is like really proactive. That's really, really good sign that they're going to be a good leader one day. So
Yeah, I read this book. It's called the Coaching Habit. I didn't read it physically, but I listened to it on Amazon Audible. And my one of my colleagues, Matt Petty, he's the one who told me to listen to it. And fantastic book. Even if you're not a coach yet or a leader, like go listen to it. It'll be well worth your time.
yeah, if you want to get promoted quickly, like go think like a coach or a leader. Like go answer the questions they're asking, right? Anyway, okay, third thing. So we talked about grit, talked about coachability. What's the third one? I forgot.
Positivity.
Positivity. Oh my goodness. Yes, please. Thank you. Yeah, this is huge. I could ramble on it forever, but like, how do you index for that? Is it just the vibe of the convo? Is it something they need to share a story about? Or is it the sense that you get when you're talking to them?
I think even if I ask you the question, like I mean, when you had a situation where the outcome of what you were trying to accomplish didn't work out, right? What actually happened? Like what actions did you take going forward? Were you reactive or were you proactive? If you were reactive, it's not a good sign to me. If you were proactive and you thought, okay, not only how can I fix this now, but how can I not do this in the future? How can I do this correctly in the future? That's gonna hit home for me, and I'm gonna feel that. I
Hmm.
have some buddies that I golf with, and they joke about me as you know you hit it in the water, and I say, don't worry, man, you're good, because it's okay. Like it's positive. We're all just out there having fun, right? So I think how you can demonstrate that is show your smile. Like
Hmm.
my old boss, his name's Sam Nelson. You've probably seen him on LinkedIn. He's got blue hair. He's like the SDR guru, right? Um, when I worked with him in outreach, one of his things was smile and dial, stand up at the desk, feel good, have good posture, and rock and roll. If you're standing during my interview, we're probably gonna have a better conversation.
Yeah.
If you're like up and feeling good and looking at me and just like really really focused and listening to me, that shows me that you're positive, and I can almost tell in your tone as well. You can tell in
Yep.
my tone. I'm pretty straightforward. I'm a pretty solid guy. So like if you're not necessarily matching my tone, but just really positive and in your storytelling and really positive in our conversation, it comes through very
Yeah.
relevantly, and that's very easy for me to see. So yeah, if
Yeah.
I tell you anything, they're always going to ask you a negative question. Like somebody's going to say, tell me about a time where something didn't go the way you wanted it to. Well, you don't want to say, well, it went this way and it sucked because of this. You want to say it went this way, and this is the way I am going to make it better going forward. Always use
Yeah.
that follow up, and also don't be afraid to like mirror what they said. So you want me to tell you a story about this? Yes. Okay, great. Well, this is what happened, and this is how I fixed it, and this is how I want to positively, proactively do it better going forward.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think this is so important because I've got to trust that you as a rep are going to be able to go out and lob 60, 70 cold calls and get your head stomped in all day and still smile about it.
Yep.
Cuz
Yeah.
if you don't have a positive tone with me on an interview, I do not trust that you're going to be able to go out there on the phones and maintain optimism, relentless optimism. And that's sales. Like the sales mindset is a shift from I'm counting all the no's to I'm counting all the no's because I know how many no's it takes to get to the yes, right? And so, it's almost like I don't know, baseball, where baseball high or low number is bad, right? I think you're a baseball guy, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, so what I would say is every no is one step closer to that next yes, and that's your
Yes.
baseball guy. I mean, high number of runs in baseball is great.
Yeah.
High number of strikeouts is great if you're a pitcher. Um, but yeah, like lower number, obviously you want to score a bunch of runs, right? So like
Yeah.
it's about the quality with the balance of quantity,
Yeah.
and really just getting as many at bats as you can, while
Yeah.
making the most of your at bats, and that's what shines through.
This is one of the only industries where having a 20% success rate is actually like good. That's
Yeah,
pretty good, right? So that means 1 out of 5 times you're failing or you're succeeding. And so just going in with that mindset of like optimism, like, hey, this is part of the game. I know what I signed up for. Um, some red flags on this note. So one is like any kind of blame. If you're blaming an old manager or an old process or something, you're immediate red flag. Like I'm not going to hire you if you're blaming someone. Number one. Number two is a red flag is how you present yourself on camera. So if you're in like a very dark room and stuff, that energy is translating through the camera. Just open a freaking window or put a light on your face. I had a client like he was in a cave interviewing. I'm like, dude, no wonder these people are like freaked out by you. You look like a vampire. So we got the window open and set his desk up and all of that. And to your point, standing is huge. So all you need to do is get a stack of books and put your laptop on a stack of books. Right now, you can stand and interview, and you're going to present so much more confidently. So those are some really easy wins right there, Dylan. Appreciate that. Yeah, as we round out here, man, what kind of advice would you give to anyone wanting to get into tech sales?
Yeah, I know it's hard, just to even break in, and I would say number one, utilize Jack to the best of your abilities. Number two, don't be afraid to reach out to me. I'm an open book. If you reach out to me with an actual curious question on LinkedIn, I'm going to answer you, and you can ask any of my mentees. One of the people I hired at my current organization, I was a mentor for her, 5 years ago in SDR Nation, an old company that had like a coworker. And then I met with her monthly for 3 years. All of a sudden, I hired her. You know, so like I think a big takeaway for me: ask questions, ask questions, ask questions, ask questions. It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be a grind. But I mean, you utilize the people around you. Be curious. Don't be afraid to ask anybody anything, and stay positive. I everybody, a lot of us have been laid off in this industry, including myself multiple times. What's about it is there's a lot of ups and downs. What's important is that you just keep trending up, and you keep staying positive, and you keep that mindset that you're gonna win no matter what.
Heck yeah. Dylan, man, thank you. This is years of wisdom, years of gold nuggets. Really appreciate you sharing, man. Thank you.
Thanks, Jack. Cheers.